Today's learning target is I can solve multiplication equations.
Today we're going to be solving multiplication equations. So here's an example of a multiplication equation. Okay? And an equation is very similar to a balance scale. Okay? What we're trying to do in this is there's really two sides to an equation, just like there's two sides to a scale, a balance scale. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to make the two sides equal or balance out. So in this equation, right here, we have this says 6 times some number. In this case, we're just putting a variable in there, a c. And we want that to be the same as this side. So an equal sign just means is the same as. Now, a lot of you are probably already thinking, well, I know what that is. That's going to be 3. And that's correct. But we have a process that we want to use when solving equations so that when they become more difficult and we can't do them mentally, we know how to do them. So the first step we do is we draw a line down the equal sign so that we just keep in our mind that we're trying to keep the two sides equal. Okay? And now what we look to do is we're going to look to get this variable, this c, by itself. Okay? To do that, we're going to be thinking opposites, right? This is 6 times c. So the opposite of timesing is dividing. So what we're going to do is we're going to divide this side by 6. And just like a balance scale over here, if I were to divide one side by 6, so if I divided this side by 6 and I wanted to keep it balanced, I would have to divide the other side by 6. So I do that to both sides. Now on this side we have 6 divided by 6, which is 1. So we have 1c, or another way to say that, 1 times c would be one group of c. Okay, well one group of c is just c. And now on the other side we have 18, and remember the fraction line is divided by 6, and that is equal to 3. So c would have to be 3 if we want to get both of these sides to be equal or the same. So here's another example. In this one you'll notice the variable, in this case x for the variable, is on the other side. And it doesn't matter, it's exactly the same. So we're going to do this the same way. Step one is going to be, we're going to split the equation down the equal sign so we can keep track of both sides. Okay, now my goal is to get the variable right here, this x, by itself. So I want to think the opposites. Again, this is timesing 2 times x. So the opposite of that is going to be dividing. So I'm going to divide that side by 2. And then I remember that I have to do what I do to one side, I have to do to the other side. So I'm going to divide that by 2. Okay? Now, 2 divided by 2 gives me 1. Again, really what I've done is some people say you cancel that number out. Okay, really I've turned it to 1 because I've divided 2 divided by 2. It's 1x, one group of x, which is just x. And the other side, 20 divided by 2, is going to give me 10. So to get both of these sides equal, okay, I would have to put 10 in for x. That would make this side, 2 times 10 is 20. That's the same as, or equals, to 20. All right, let's do one more just to make sure we have it down. And again, in today's assignment, I know that you're going to be able to do a lot of these mentally, but I want you to show the work. Okay, so we write down the problem, and then we put a line through the equal sign to show the two sides of the equation. And now I think I want to get this variable, this y, by itself, or I want to figure out what does that have to equal. So to do that, to get it by itself, I'm going to do the opposite of timesing, which is dividing, and I divide by 9. And if I do it to one side, I have to do it to the other side. Okay, so 9 divided by 9, that cancels out, it becomes a 1. So that's one group of y, which is just y, and that's going to equal 3. And if I wanted to check that, I could see 9 times 3, which was the y, and I know that equals 27. So those two sides are the same.